In this video, I cover the Pokemon Organizer spreadsheet that I have pieced together. And before we start, I just want to say thank you to Brovinnie for covering this spreadsheet during the time that I was off. And so in this video, I'll present the various tools that are in the spreadsheet, and it is available for free for everyone. And so essentially you click the link in the video description, it takes you here, and to make it your own, you simply go to File, and make a copy. And then when you do that, you can save it in your own Google Drive and it will show up in a separate tab, which we will get to. I have prepared my own document, but to explain how it works, I think it is much more organized to just look at the base sheet. And so this is the master document it's often referred to. It is blank for the most part. And the purpose of this spreadsheet is to give you a visual overview of your collection. And it also has some tools that will help you figure out which Pokemon you should target, because you get that visual overview of what you have. And so the dashboard sheet is just a visual. You're not supposed to edit anything here. And I know that it crops a little bit but in the video here, but if you go into the document, you see everything. On the left side, you have the ingredient specialists. And on the right side, you have the berry specialists. Where you edit is in the control panel. And there is a section here for the primary ingredient farmer and the secondary ingredient farmer. So for example, if we put in Slowbro right here, and we put in, wait, it should say Tails. It doesn't want to play along. I was a little bit too fast for it. There we go. Put in Tails and Tails. All of these drop downs are filtered so that if you have Slowbro in the Pokemon cell, then only the ingredients that Slowbro can find will show up. And so it's pretty neat that way. Took a little bit of time to piece it all together, but it works nicely. So then when you go back to the dashboard, you can see that you have the primary farmer in the left cell and the secondary in the right cell. This can be useful in the case that you have multiple Pokemon that does the same thing, which we will get to in my own collection, which we will cover in the second part of this video. So just stay tuned for that. It's happening in a minute or two. And so that's that. You have the visual presentation of the Pokemon that you're getting ingredients from, obviously because of the primary secondary split. And that is the same thing with the berry overview. You may have some berry specialists that you get ingredients from. Let's say I have an Ampharos, which is a skill specialist, but it's mono herb. Then I may put that up as a secondary herb farmer. I also have a Tyranitar with berry finding, and that is pretty strong. And so for the Blockberry, that is my secondary farmer for, not Tyranitar berries, but the Blockberry. So essentially you fill in the information here, and it shows up visually presented in the dashboard. One thing that is very important to know is that it is only the white cells that you should edit. That is these cells, these cells, these cells, these, I know this is a little bit repetitive, and these. Please don't edit anything else. For your own sake, you can't edit the master document, so you're only making a mess for yourself if you try to not listen to my warnings here, because like, let's say I try to delete here, it's going to give you a heads up, don't do it, so don't do it. And what's more important is, or equally important, but another thing you can think about is when this document is updated, I can't go retrospectively into your document and update it. That would be a problem for me to figure out how to do. So when the master document is updated and you can see the version that it is currently up to date for, then you just make a new copy for the new version, and you can always find the most up-to-date version if you go to README and scroll down to master document, and you can click back to the main thing I know it's a little bit back and forth here, but stick with me. You then make a new copy, and you can highlight just the white cells and copy over the columns if you don't want to do everything over again. For most version updates, you probably don't even need to update the document. Maybe it's just an image for a cramorant that is missing, for example. That's updated here, but you know, and maybe you're not too interested in that, so you just skip a couple versions until you update the organizer. But overall, the document here has a lot of capabilities, so we'll dive into that as well. So you can copy these ones, and then essentially you want to, when you, let's say, copy this one, when you want to put it into a different cell in a different sheet, you want to go paste values only. That's very important. So that is the pro tip that is here. If you're a member in the nirtheart Discord server, feel free to reach out if you want help with this document. Yeah, so another sheet that is pretty useful is this targets page. Brovinnie quickly went over it in his videos, he has a couple of videos on the spreadsheet by now. I think this is an underrated tool, and it is particularly underrated for those of us that can't spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars on this game, so that you can like filter out what you have, what you don't have, what is important, what is not. And so we'll spend some more time on this page in my own document. Essentially, just to show you how it works, you can Control X or cut it, and you can paste it, and then it will just fix its formatting. And then you can say, yeah, as ingredient specialist, Dugtrio, I'm interested. It's a target. Or maybe you have a really good Dugtrio like I have. It's in my collection under perfect. And then, yeah, it's nice like that. Some people requested that I included all the Pokemon, including the pre-evolutions. Personally, I delete all of those pre-evolutions in my personal document, but the master document is purposely made so that you can make it your own. Location. This is another pretty cool document, and so, or sheet rather. Essentially, the only cells that you want to edit is this A column in the white cells. So, for example, I'm currently hunting Delibird. That's pretty much it. I also kind of want to insert, we'll go over this in my personal document, but now it shows the Pokemon image and sleep style, and so it's pretty cool that way. And then I've made space for 30 Pokemon. I don't think that's necessary for the most part, but I've found that if you just scroll out a little bit, then you get a decent overview for like 15, something like that. And let's say you're hunting Chikorita, then you can add in Chikorita, Bayleaf, Meganium, and sometimes it's nice to zoom out. And then two sheets that I've added today is the sleep styles sheet. This was requested from multiple people in the nirtheart Discord, and so I've pieced this together. This may not be a tool for everyone, but if you're obsessed about organizing everything and keeping track of everything and all that stuff, then yeah, have at it. So, for example, if you have seen the 1 star of Butterfree, you can check off these, and there we go. I don't think it is necessary to do the complex calculations like, oh, I got this many % dosing, this many % of this Pokemon, this, that, and the other. I think overall, by just scrolling the columns here, you'll quickly see what you're missing. So you can see that for the Pokemon that only have 3 sleep styles, there's a gray cell to block out the 4th one, and some of these even just have 2. And then because Ditto has 10, actually 12, but 2 of those are not available yet, gets a little bit awkward with making a seamless sheet, but it is what it is. And then to make the full rainbow, I decided to add in the dosing, the berries, the ingredients, skills, slumbering, berries. Yeah, so have at it for those of you who are interested in that. Another sheet that I personally am way more excited about that is pretty cool is this events tab. This took a lot of tweaking and work to really make work, okay? So appreciate the effort. This page makes it so that the only thing you have to do is to choose the event from a dropdown. Maybe we go back to Raikou research. What was that like? Well, it was only green grass and only electric types that got boosted. How about Eevee Week back in 2023? Only evolutions. Here are all the evolutions. Even Halloween I found in Serebii archives, because on the official Pokemon Sleep website, some of these articles are expired. And then we're currently in the summer festival. And so you can just imagine the level of programming to make this work. Like, look at these functions. They're ridiculous. And at the end here, they get so long that they require multiple lines on certain computers. It's a mess, but it actually functions as it is intended to. So I'm pretty stoked about it. Flower Festival, another event that had a lot of Pokemon. And so we also had the Valentine's Day, but it was not as elaborate. Yeah, here we go. It's a nice overview. Then essentially it auto creates a visual. The only thing I need to do as the owner and maintainer of the master document is to make a new name and write the name of the different Pokemon. And then once that's done, it just shows up here as another drop down alternative. I just want to double check that I'm recording. Yes. Awesome. And I'm in frame. Nice. Okay, at this point in time, I can also point out that the README is a good page to look at. If there's anything here you want me to add, let me know in a comment or in nirtheart. And so the really only thing that you need to think about aside from these sheets is that all the sheets that have capitalized names are the ones you want to spend time in. All the other sheets that have these not capitalized names are just data files where I kind of structured things to make everything else work. So don't think about those. You have control panel, that's important. Targets, one of my personal favorites, and events, which will now allow you to make an automatic graphic where you can just screenshot this based on a drop-down menu. So that's pretty handy. And yeah, if you are into sleep styles, then this is going to be great, I'm sure. And the locations is another banger. So let's hop into my own document. This is my collection so far at this point in time. And as most of you will discover, you have a bunch of holes in your collection. And a lot of people have sent me messages about this. Oh man, this document, crying about it because yeah, you realize you have a bunch of holes. You feel all good about yourself because you scroll through your collection in the game and it says a lot of level 50s and 55s and helping bonus, berry finding. But when you structure it, you realize, oh man, I don't have a corn farmer. I don't have a good mushroom, potato. I don't have at all anyone who does beans. That's not too important. But apples is important. I don't have it. But I also have a lot of stuff really covered. And we'll get back to that when we go into my targets. Because I can see which Pokemon I just got perfect. Never have to think about them again. And so, yeah. And then in today's video, I also talked a little bit about my Ivysaur, which I found off camera during these past 2 weeks. So yeah, you can also see my berry collection. I know it crops a little bit on the other side here. Don't worry too much about it. Essentially, there is a Feraligatr here with not berry finding and not helping bonus. There's a berry finding Ditto and a berry finding Togekiss. All right, yeah, and you've all seen my Altaria collection. It's broken. So to reiterate, the ingredient specialists on the left side, berry specialists on the right side, and then you can just fill in the berry finding or helping bonus. Typically, those are the main sub skills that you kind of look for in berry specialists. I don't want to make this document convoluted by adding helping speed natures, all that stuff. So it's just 2 metrics, and then you'll have to remember the rest yourself. And then, yeah, so for example, I could have put Gengar here over in the primary herb section and then added my Ampharos, which is mono herb. I'm thinking some of these Pokemon will be moved over to primary farmers once I hit level 60. So for example, you can see my Tyranitar has, well, we can go back to the dashboard so that it is nicely presented as a visual. You can see Tyranitar has Ginger Beans Ginger. At the point where the Tyranitar is level 60, I'll probably just retire my Charizard. It's at level 30. It won't really do too much. And the Warming Ginger is really strong on that Tyranitar. The same thing with Gengar. I'm thinking to just retire the mushroom part of the Gengar and just let that be my herbs farmer. Essentially, mushrooms is a really high value filler ingredient. So even though I don't get a pure stream of herbs from the Gengar, I don't really care too much. And then hopefully in the future, there's another ingredient specialist that does mushroom. Could be cool with Breloom or Amoonguss, something like that. And yeah, I could add in the Altaria as one of my egg Pokemon. I have 2 Altaria that are mono egg. And yeah, I'm really hunting for that Stuffle. So it's just a way to present your collection. Now on to the targets. This is my favorite part. I have removed all the pre-evolutions with a few exceptions. Onyx, for example, is a pre-evolution. But in Sleep, it functions as a full-on final evolution. It is a different type than Steelix, so Steelix is Steel, Onyx is Rock. Same thing here. Vigoroth is comparable to a Raticate. It's a bear specialist, and Slakoth is a dual specialist. It's slower than Vigoroth, so if you specifically only want berries, then Vigoroth is better than Slacking. Slacking has a very high skill rate, and so you can kind of dual hunt Vigoroth and Slacking at the same time, and then evolve the more berry focused into Vigoroth and the more skill focused into Slacking. So those are just some of the exceptions that I've made for myself. And then, I don't know, can you see my cursor at all? No, that's a problem. Well, I'll just highlight the cells then. So in the column for berry specialists, I have a Raichu and I have a Pichu that is basically identical. They are really, really strong. You can't ask for more. That would be excessively greedy. And same thing with my Altaria. So these ones I never have to hunt again for any reason whatsoever. That's what the perfect means to me. And then I have a pretty strong Ninetales, Typhlosion, Walrein, for Alligator. Well, actually, this is a Croconaw, but I like the organized, clean look of just having the final evolutions, and it's going to show up as a for Alligator soon enough. So what is amazing in my bar may be different to you. So that is the way you can kind of make this document your own, especially if you're free to play, then you have a different way to rate the Pokemon, because obviously you don't have infinite biscuits to feed. And so once you find something, you kind of have to settle with it. And so for me, the amazing is like, okay, I have an adamant berry finding skill level up Ninetales. It's amazing. It's not perfect. It could be more speed, for example. In addition to that adamant, same thing with the Walrein. It's just BFS adamant, just. And then I have some skill level ups in there too. So yeah, they're just not at the same par as the Raichu and the Altaria, the Doug Trio that I have, the Ditto, the Absol. And so one thing I want to focus on here is the Meganium and the Clefable. These are a priority or wanted. Clefable is a little bit hard to hunt. It typically shows up during Good Sleep Day event. And then Meganium, I specifically have to go to certain areas to find it, which we will see later in the location tab. And then, yeah, some of these Pokemon I'm not hunting. Never hunting is a separate tier where I don't even care about the candies. If you send me these candies, I will not be happy. And there is literally no potential in these Pokemon in the future whatsoever, I think, in my opinion. And so that's what that means. Not hunting is there could be balance changes, stuff like that. And if we quickly go over the ingredient specialists and the skill specialists, I'm going to point something out to you that I think is pretty interesting about Pokemon Sleep, especially considering the 1-year anniversary is coming up soon. So, I have the trio, Ditto, Absol. Recently found my Honey Venusaur. I have a helping bonus, ingredient finder. Blastoise is pretty strong. I like my Tyranitar even though it's kind of mixed, and my Toxicroak is pretty good. These are my priorities. These I'm not really hunting. I don't like Cramorant, and I've given up on the Abomasnow. I really want the Delibird, and then at that point, I don't care about the Abomasnow. Not too big on Dragonite either because of my Gengar. I don't know why I put my Gengar here. That should be probably up here. It's really good in terms of sub-skills, and herbs and mushrooms are pretty good still, so yeah, something like that. And Sylveon, Togeous, I have really strong Pokemon. These are strong too. And then acceptable, I'm thinking I probably want to hunt them again at some point. That's what that means, but I'm not really in a rush. Vaporeon for me is a priority. I also want a Golduck at some point and a Swalot. I know Swalot is a funny Pokemon, but at this point in time in the game, once you cross that 250-300 mil on the Drowsy Power, you kind of just want to switch in some Pokemon that either prep the next week or gather some Dream Shards for you, because you're really not getting much more out of those sleep sessions unless you start having long naps. And yeah, I think just overall it would be really nice with a really strong Swalot. So Persian is not good in my opinion. I don't like it. Wobbuffet is outclassed by Gardevoir in every way possible. I've put personally Gardevoir in low priority because my Sylveon is so cracked. I won't find a Ralts in like 50 encounters that's better than my Sylveon just because I got a dream roll on that one. So, but then again, Wobbuffet is outclassed in every way by Gardevoir. They're the same type. And at that point, I'm never hunting it. I don't care what happens with the buffs. If somehow Wobbuffet is buffed, then I might just go for Slowking instead because they tend to get buffed by their main skill. Sudowoodo also has no future, in my opinion. So what I want to showcase here is if I just highlight not never hunting, because I specifically have chosen to put certain Pokemon here. Let's say we just highlight this. The things I'm interested in, things that are low priority, and the things I'm not hunting. What do these Pokemon have in common? We have Steelix, Houndoom, we have Banette, Kangaskhan, Abomasnow, Heracross, Sableye, Gallade, Gardevoir. All of these have Mega Evolutions. That's a lot of these Pokemon. And if we point out some other Pokemon, we have, let's see here, we can do Altaria. And that's it for the very specialists. But we have Absol, Venusaur, Blastoise, Tyranitar, Gengar, Charizard, Ampharos, Lucario, Slowbro. Like basically half of the Pokemon pretty much have Mega Evolutions. And with ZA coming out next year and they making a whole thing about the Mega Evolutions, I think it's possible that we'll see that at some point. So I just want to make you take note. Some of these Pokemon that you probably would put in Never Hunting, just nudge them up one step. Houndour, Banette, Kangaskhan, Abomasnow, Heracross, Sableye, Gallade. If these get a Mega Evolutions, then yeah, the game's going to look quite different. And then yeah, so based on the Pokemon that I have filtered out in Priority and Wanted, which are these Pokemon, I have created a location tab based on that. So essentially, you can see the kind of sleep styles you should be targeting. And maybe you want to go to a place where you have multiple Pokemon you want and a good spread on the sleep styles, because then you really don't have to care too much about it. So for example, right now, you can see I have a good mix actually on Snowdrop Tundra because I have some snoozing with Clefairy, Eevee, got the dosing on the Gulpin and Psyduck, and the Delibird, though for the most part, I should be spending time here on Lapis Lakeside. So that's what I'm going to be doing after I claim this this Delibird, because you can see I can find pretty much everything I want except Gulpin over here. So that's going to be pretty good. So yeah, hope you found this video interesting. Let me know in a comment if there's anything you want me to answer. And yeah, hope you enjoy the document as it's updated into the future as well. Thank you for watching.